Have you ever felt like everyone around you is wearing a mask? You're not alone. But what if I told you there's a way to see through that mask and truly understand what lies beneath the surface? In this video, we'll explore a powerful skill that can help you read people and uncover their true motives. Learning how to read others can transform the way you approach relationships, business, and everyday life. Imagine how different your interactions could be if you could truly understand the hidden agendas of those around you. Don't miss out. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, and leave a comment sharing your thoughts below. 1. The Tell Me More technique. The Tell Me More technique is one of the most underrated tools in any conversation, especially in negotiations. It's an approach grounded in patience, attentiveness, and the art of listening. And it's often the key to uncovering hidden motives and reaching a deeper understanding of the other party's true intentions. I remember a negotiation I was involved in some years ago. It was a deal with a potential partner, and on the surface, everything seemed agreeable. They were offering favorable terms, and I had no reason to question them. But there was a nagging feeling in the back of my mind that something wasn't quite right. Instead of immediately jumping into counteroffers or trying to push for more favorable conditions, I chose to remain calm and simply asked, "Tell me more about that." What followed was a revelation. My counterpart began to open up about pressures they were facing in their business, a looming financial crisis that they hadn't shared earlier, a change in leadership that had caused internal turmoil, and a rush to secure any deal that would stabilize their operations. This admission gave me a clearer picture of their motives. They weren't just looking for a good business deal. They were seeking a lifeline. This shift in understanding gave me a unique advantage. By listening carefully and empathetically, I was able to adjust my approach in a way that felt more collaborative, positioning myself as a partner in their struggle rather than just a negotiator looking to maximize my own gain. What's more, this technique allowed me to leverage their vulnerabilities in a way that was both ethical and mutually beneficial. Instead of imposing my agenda, I let the situation unfold, offering solutions that helped both of us. This experience is a perfect example of the Stoic principle of remaining calm and observant. In the face of uncertainty, instead of jumping to conclusions or letting my emotions dictate my response, I chose to observe and listen, fully and without judgment. The Stoics believed in being emotionally detached from outcomes, in practicing apatheia, freedom from passion, and in not reacting impulsively. By simply allowing the other party to speak freely, I embodied this principle, letting the conversation evolve naturally and providing me with the insight I needed to act wisely. This principle is foundational in Stoic philosophy. We cannot control the actions of others, but we can control how we listen, interpret, and respond to them. 2. Watch how people treat those in lesser positions. How a person treats those they perceive as beneath them often reveals their truest character. It's a sobering thought, but it's a truth that can be hard to deny once you've witnessed it firsthand. In my professional life, I had a colleague who always appeared warm, respectful, and professional, almost to the point of perfection. However, one afternoon, I was out to lunch with this same colleague and witnessed a dramatic shift in their behavior. When a waiter came to our table, this person was curt, dismissive, and even rude, treating the waiter as though they were invisible, all while making snide comments about their service. It was jarring to see this side of them, especially because it contradicted everything I had believed about their character. This experience stuck with me because it made me realize that true virtue doesn't depend on who is watching. It's easy to be kind, polite, and respectful when we're in a social or professional setting. But the measure of a person's true nature is how they behave when there are no consequences or rewards involved. People tend to show their real selves in situations where there's no social pressure, no one to impress, and no fear of losing status. The way this colleague treated the waiter, someone who had no power over them, was a clear indicator of their underlying arrogance and sense of superiority. The Stoics were firm believers in universal equality, in the idea that all human beings deserve respect, regardless of their social or economic standing. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, often reminded himself to treat even the lowest servant or most insignificant individual with dignity. In his writings, he advised looking at all people as fellow human beings, equally deserving of kindness and fairness. The way someone behaves toward those they can afford to mistreat is one of the truest reflections of their character. By watching how people interact with those in lesser positions, we can better understand their values and attitudes, which in turn helps us decide whether they are worthy of our trust or respect. 3. The past is key to the present. One of the most powerful insights I've gained from my experiences in life and in the practice of Stoicism is that understanding someone's past can drastically change how we interpret their present behavior. In my early career, I had a friend who often came across as defensive and quick to argue. Whenever we disagreed on something, whether it was a work project or a casual conversation, they would become visibly agitated, sometimes even raising their voice. I found this frustrating at first, as I couldn't understand why they reacted with such intensity to what seemed like harmless comments. It wasn't until I took the time to learn more about their past that everything started to make sense. They had been betrayed by close colleagues in previous jobs, people they had trusted implicitly. The scars of those betrayals had left them with a deep sense of insecurity. This emotional baggage made them feel constantly under threat, always on guard, even in the safest of environments. Once I understood this context, I stopped seeing their defensiveness as a personal flaw. Instead, I saw it as a protective mechanism, a defense against vulnerability that had been forged by years of hurt. In Stoic philosophy, one of the central tenets is that we cannot judge others too hastily because their actions are often rooted in a complex web of past experiences. The Stoics believed in the importance of understanding people's history as a way to empathize with their actions. Epictetus, for instance, taught that we must view others' faults through a lens of understanding, recognizing that their behaviors are often reflections of unresolved emotional pain or fears. By practicing this deeper understanding, we learn to respond to people more empathetically, rather than reacting to their actions with judgment or frustration. Recognizing that someone's behavior may be shaped by past trauma or disappointment opens the door to compassion and patience, and it encourages us to respond to others with a sense of wisdom and discernment rather than defensiveness. 4. Sudden changes in tone signal lies or hesitation. There is a subtle art to listening, not just to the words people say, but to the way they say them. I've had several encounters in business where a colleague would change the tone of their voice just slightly, and it immediately made me suspicious. I recall one particular moment in a meeting where one of my team members, normally confident and articulate, suddenly faltered. Their voice, usually steady and assured, became more hesitant, and their words seemed almost rehearsed. There was an uncomfortable pause as they tried to explain away a missed deadline, but their tone betrayed them. It was in that moment I realized they were being dishonest about the reasons for the delay. The Stoic principle of mindful observation comes into play here. Stoicism teaches us to remain fully present and aware, watching both the spoken and unspoken cues in our interactions with others. Emotional reactions, like a sudden change in tone, hesitation, or a shift in body language, often reveal more than words ever can. In this case, their hesitation spoke volumes, signaling a level of discomfort that I would have missed if I had focused solely on the content of their words. By observing these small yet significant changes in tone and body language, we can uncover truths that are hidden beneath the surface. Stoics believe that by maintaining a calm, observant mind, we could pierce through the facades people put up and uncover the truth. Self-awareness and awareness of others are vital tools for making sound decisions. By cultivating this practice, we develop the ability to assess situations more accurately and navigate them with wisdom. 5. The most honest moments are when they think no one is watching. Some of the most revealing moments of a person's true character happen when they think they are invisible, when there's no audience to impress, and no consequences for their actions. I once saw a colleague in the hallway at work, rushing to a meeting. As she passed a cleaning staff member who was mopping the floor, she offered a brief, dismissive nod of acknowledgement. It was a subtle moment, but it spoke volumes about how she viewed her colleagues, especially those whose work was less visible. In her mind, the cleaner didn't matter much. and it was clear that she felt no need to treat them with the same courtesy she would offer to someone of higher status. The Stoic principle of virtue teaches us that the true measure of our character is how we behave when no one is watching. It's easy to be kind and gracious when the spotlight is on us, but true virtue is revealed in private, when we're not worried about how others perceive us. The Stoics emphasize the importance of aligning our actions with our values, regardless of external recognition. True integrity is not about maintaining appearances, but about doing what is right, even when no one is there to witness it. When we witness someone acting kindly or authentically in these unguarded moments, we are seeing their true nature. It's a powerful reminder that our own behavior, especially when no one is looking, is the true reflection of our character. 6. Emotional reactions reveal priorities. Our emotional reactions, though often dismissed as mere outbursts, are actually windows into our inner priorities and values. I once worked closely with someone who appeared calm and collected in almost every professional situation. Yet, during one meeting, they became inexplicably frustrated over a small issue. A minor change in the project plan sent them into a tirade that was completely out of proportion to the situation. It wasn't until later that I learned this particular project was deeply personal to them. They had invested countless hours and energy into it, and the changes threatened their vision. This emotional response was a clear indicator of what mattered most to them. Our emotions, when we stop to analyze them, reveal what we value deeply, whether it's recognition, success, or personal integrity. In the case of my colleague, their emotional reaction wasn't about the project's logistics. It was about their emotional investment and the fear of losing control over something they cared about deeply. Understanding someone's emotional reactions helps us understand their core values. In negotiations or personal relationships, recognizing the emotional triggers of others allows us to respond more thoughtfully, focusing not just on the issue at hand, but also on what really matters to them. The Stoic practice of mindfulness teaches us to observe these emotional reactions without judgment, allowing us to make decisions based on a deeper understanding of what is truly motivating the other person. By learning to respond to these emotional cues, we build stronger, more authentic relationships, both personally and professionally. We also develop the ability to protect ourselves from being manipulated by others' emotional outbursts, using our awareness to guide us toward wiser, more measured responses. As we've seen, the Stoic principle of not being swayed by others' judgments or actions, but observing them with equanimity, can help us gain deeper insights into any situation. By practicing these techniques in your daily life, you'll start to form more meaningful, authentic connections. Remember, true wisdom comes from seeing the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. If you learned something new today, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments below. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, where we'll dive deeper into understanding human nature and Stoic philosophy.